Hey, this is Carla from the Butcher Babies.
This is George Corpse Fisher from Cannibal Corpse.
Hey, this is Rex from Kill Devil Hill. It's Wednesday 13.
This is Dad from Devil Driving.
This is Motorist from Quad. You're listening to RABID NOISE
on RABID Radio.
Turn it up.
Welcome back to RABID NOISE on RABID Radio. That was Schema from Circa Survive, who will be in the country in September in support of their latest album, Descensus. And here to talk about the tour and everything Circa Survive is frontman Anthony Green. Great you could join us tonight, man. What's going on?
Not very much. Thanks for taking the time to pay attention to our band.
Oh, man, I love you guys. I'll say that straight up. I first saw you guys a couple of years ago when you toured here with Coheed and Cambria. Absolutely blown away by how energetic and tight you guys were. It was just awesome. You know, toured the world, and obviously you're a fan of music yourself. Has there been any bands that, you know, you've discovered in similar ways where you've just rocked up to a gig and there's been another band on that's blown you away?
We actually, we were on Soundwave a few years ago, and a couple friends of mine were telling me that I got to check this band out playing one of the side stages called Let Live. And so I walked over the first day during their set, and I couldn't believe how insane they were. It was they were like the most energetic, just noisy, powerful, thrashy thing I had seen in a long, long time. And they still sounded awesome. And it, you know, coming from a hardcore, like punk and hardcore background, I just, you know, I've seen a lot of bands trying to compose themselves to a point when they're on stage where they're posing and fixing their hair, and seeing a guy like Jason Butler throw mic stands on the ground and spit and rip his shirt off and go crazy. You know, it was something that I had been missing, I feel like, in music for a little while. And I think that type of aggression is just cool to watch. And that was definitely an experience where I was blown away by a band.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, they're a great band, that Let Live. I was there too. That was a good sound wave.
Yeah, that was that might be the last time we were over there.
Man, that was it's going back a little while, but it's good you guys are coming back. I mean, you know, Australia's missed you guys, and I think with this new album, it's just going to be such a killer tour, man. And, you know, the one thing about you guys is, you know, the music translates so well live, and, you know, it sounds so huge, and when it must take a lot to nail that progressive stuff, you know, live. Are your rehearsals quite intense when it comes to, you know, recording the album and then translating it live?
Yeah, I think this album, the songs translate live a lot better because while we were recording them, we got together in a room and we played them, and we really tested, you know, whether or not the key of the song was right, whether the tempo of the song was right. And a lot of times in the past, we would build the songs up almost like on like a 4-track, you know, before we went to the studio. So we wouldn't get together and play the song together until after it was recorded. So I feel like that was something that occurred during the evolution of how we create songs, where we want to make sure that the song feels right, you know, live, and that it feels like it has that energy that we want. And I feel like that translates to songs just being more powerful. I feel like live is where a song should really exist, you know. We're the type of band that makes music that is the type of music that you want to experience live. And, I mean, I love our records. I think our records are great, and I think Descensus is the best-sounding record we've ever done. But I still think we're the type of band that you want to experience face-to-face in a room with the sound, you know, just crunching your head and the bass and the beat just ripping at your heart. And I feel like that's where our band is best experienced.
Well, man, that's how as I said, like, I experienced you guys before I got into your albums. And it's very rare these days because it's so, you know, music's so accessible everywhere. So that was quite a special experience for me to, you know, get into you guys that way.
That's awesome. Yeah, it makes me really happy to hear that, because I feel like, you know, there's something about our band that just exists in that realm, and it's always been more important to us to have that experience, that live experience, than it was about how a song might sound on a record. And I feel like we became a band and started becoming more successful as a band during a time when the idea of an album and the idea of, recordings were just, everybody can record a song. You know, you could record a song, you could make a song without playing any real instruments on your iPad, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that that's great, and that helps in a lot of creative ways, but it's also used as a creative crutch. And I feel like as a band, we want you to feel the guitars, you know, like ripping your face off. We want you to feel the drums, you know, making your feet move. We want you to have a visceral experience, the same type of visceral experience that we are having on stage. We want to share with you, you know. And so when people will get into I feel like when people come and see the band, they're either going to get really into it and fall in love with it, like you said, or they can be like, this is too weird, you know. And I like that. I'd rather weed out all the people that think it's too weird, because if I came and walked in on one of our shows, you know, I'd be like, man, this is awesome. I love this.
Well, man, you've got to love what you do, man. You've got to love your own band, or it's like, you know.
It feels weird. It feels weird saying that. It feels so weird saying that. I don't feel like it shouldn't feel weird to say that, right?
No, you're right. It's like, you know, it sounds like, you know, if you say, oh, I love my own band, I'm a fan of my own band, it does sound a bit weird, but it shouldn't be weird at all. You got to love what you do.
Like,
so many bands.
If you're like a chef, if you're a chef, or you're a baker, or if you're a carpenter, you know, it's like, it's totally fine to be like, yeah, I love what I make. What I make is great, and it's quality, and I put my heart and soul into it, and I love it. But for some reason, when you hear a musician say that, you know, it comes off as like there's this like implied arrogance to it. I think that sucks. I don't want to feel embarrassed about being like so proud of what we do.
No, man, you shouldn't. And I think that is, you are right. Like, you know, if you say you love your own band, it's like wearing your own band shirt. You know, you love your own band.
Yeah.
You wear your band shirt, and people go, "You wear your own band shirt?" Well, yeah, of course I do, because I think wearing your own band shirt might be a questionable thing, though. I don't know. I'm guilty of that. Mine's got a T-Rex that's like a robot on it, so yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, fuck it. I've definitely wore a Circa Survive hoodie out before.
Yeah, man, it's the best. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back very soon with Anthony Green on RABID NOISE. And we're back on RABID NOISE with Anthony Green from Circa Survive. Now, as a vocalist myself, I really respect, you know, your power and range, and especially how unique your voice is, man. Who would you say are your guys that you look up to, you know, in the music industry?
When I was growing up, I listened to like Nirvana. I had older brothers that got me into like punk rock and just music in general. I would listen to Minor Threat. Would listen to, you know, Rollins Band. And then as I grew up a little bit more, I kind of discovered like Nirvana and bands like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd came into my life as I grew up. And their vocalists were so powerful. And, you know, I didn't really know what I was hearing, you know.
Yeah.
To me, like rock and roll music was very confusing, you know, because I grew up, my parents would be listening to the Beatles, and then I'd go upstairs and my brother would be listening to Minor Threat, and I'd be like, what is this? What is the bit? I want something to, like, I loved both things, but I sort of would look at more melodic music with melody, and I would think, oh, well, that's like my parents like this, and I don't want to like what my parents like, you know?
Yeah.
So I sort of just always kind of wanted to have something that was really aggressive, really sloppy, but also really beautiful and sort of linear at the same time. And I feel like that's what we kind of, like, all of us kind of grew the band into something that has all the elements of, you know, punk rock and hardcore, but also has melody and it has like that same feeling that you would get when you listen to classic rock.
Man, it definitely works. Like that mixture and what you guys are doing is, you know, there's progressive bands out there that aren't doing it on your level, I don't think. You know, there's some Australian bands that I think that do it well, like there's Carnival and bands like that.
That's great, man. That makes me really happy to hear.
Yeah, I just really appreciate the musicianship in your band, and that's what I said before that really got me. But outside of music, you know, you're pretty busy. You know, you're a family dude as well. You know, you got a family. You got 2 boys, is it?
3 boys.
Oh, 3. Man, that's a handful. Are they aware of what Dad does for work?
Yeah. They come to shows all the time. They're always watching the live set, and they're around when I'm writing and recording, and they're very aware of what I do.
Is it something that, you know, a road that, you know, you'd love to see them follow?
You know, I really more in that area. I'd really just more focused on the idea that I want them to be happy, you know. And if doing this made them as happy as it makes me, then I would love for them to do that, you know. But I want them to find their own thing, and if I don't want them to feel like they have to do this, you know. We play music in the house all the time, and they love making music, and I would love being able to play with them someday. And I'm of course going to try to, you know, get them to learn an instrument and do whatever, but I never want to push them to do anything they don't want to do. I never want to force it on them. I think one of the reasons I loved it so much was that it wasn't forced on me. My parents, I think, wanted me to play sports more, or they wanted me to do better in school, and so I always gravitated toward music. And then once I felt like it was something that they didn't want me to focus on, I focused on it 100 times more. So I really just want them to be happy and find their own thing, you know.
Awesome, man. Well, as we mentioned before, you're going to be down here in September with Circa Survive, but what else have you got cooking up for the rest of the year? You got any solo material on the way or anything like that?
I've been working on a solo record for like 6 months, and I have a bunch of songs, and right now I'm just in this phase of collecting songs. I'm writing, and I've been writing since Circa has been touring on Census. I've been collecting songs. So at some point between now and the end of the year, I'm just going to kind of make a definitive list of songs and then go into the studio for a couple days and record a record, and then hopefully I'll put it out some point next year. Maybe come to Australia if I can.
That would be great, man. That'd be great. Bring the whole family.
I've also been working on a new Seosin record that'll probably come out at some point early next year.
That is exciting stuff, man. I didn't know whether to sort of ask about that or not, because I didn't know if you'd been asked it, 100 times today or not, but that is awesome news, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I don't know what our touring plans are, but I know that we're definitely a few songs deep into a record, and we should have one finished pretty soon. I shouldn't say finished, but should have something ready to go really soon, and then at some point next year we're gonna release it, and then do a small tour. I couldn't see us not going to Australia.
No, you got to.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, totally. No, I can't wait, man. It sounds like it's all coming up for you. It's going to be a busy year, and next year as well. And the more we see you, the better.
That's great.
Well,
well, as I said, we definitely can't wait to see you and the lads up here in Brisbane for your licensed all ages show at the Met on Friday the 18th.